Today, I asked Sarah Ban Breathnach more about habits and morning routines and intuition. She is the author of Simple Abundance, a book that has sold over 5 million copies, was on the New York Times bestseller list for 2 years straight, and she's the one that inspired Oprah to start a gratitude journal. She is such a huge force in the intuition, authentic self movement. I got the privilege of speaking to her, and if you want to see the full interview and take a listen, you can click the box here, or you can check out the link in the comments below. This video is to give you my initial thoughts and reactions and takeaways from speaking with her. One of the things that really stood out to me was when I asked her about her morning routine. So of course, she's very big on gratitude. It's the one thing that changed everything for her. She was in a place where she was writing Victorian family life books and didn't feel like the third one she was going to write would give her much energy. She just didn't feel passionate about it anymore. After being frustrated and sending a prayer out into the universe and basically feeling like, what am I going to do next, and feeling hopeless, she got the distinct impression to write 100 things that she is grateful for right here and now. And she said it wasn't so much a whisper or gentle nudge. It was, this needs to happen. This is a strong, forceful message that you need to take seriously. And she really felt like she had no choice in the matter, that it needed to happen. 6 hours later and a pot of tea later, she said she had 100 things down and just felt a sweet release and guilty for not being more grateful in her life, and knew that this was the new foundation for how she would move forward. And she said that as time went on after that moment, she would start writing moments down and situations and little snippets of time that really exemplified gratitude, or a principle that she wanted to share. And she just knew that Simple Abundance, that was her book. That was what she needed to create and birth into the world. And so she would write it on Post-its or little pieces of paper. And I just love imagining her doing that, because a lot of times we think that when people create things, that it's this glorious, glamorous, perfect thing. But in reality, it's just stealing those little moments or writing little things down and then piecing it together later. And what was really powerful that she said was, even though she felt the calling and the distinct prompting that she needed to create this book, it was still not easy. And she said she believes that the universe works on a need-to-know basis, which loved how she said that. It's a need-to-know basis, because if we knew exactly what it would take to bring to fruition what it is that we are called to do, we would never do it. And I just love that she said that, because her book has touched so many lives, and it really is this beautiful, living, breathing thing that she birthed. And yet even she felt doubt. She was rejected by so many publishers. She felt like, what is this all for on some days? She even wondered if she could go on, but then she continued with how in her morning routine, she likes to be still, to not be on her phone, and to be present, feed the cats. And she will sit in bed and read other women's stories. And she said the common thread that I've noticed is that each of them, these women who have done wonderful, amazing, life-changing things, they all had to get to a point that you either give up or you go on. And that was just beautiful and so powerful, and something that we always talk about on my channel and on Instagram is that when you have a calling for something, it is not going to be easy. It is not going to happen overnight. And your mindset has to be a slave or a servant to the work that you're doing. And you have to be willing to let it birth on the timing of the universe, of God. And you have to be willing to show up every single day. And some of those days you're going to wonder why you're there. Some of those days you're going to think that you cannot go on. But guess what? Every single woman, every single person that has done something meaningful in their life and something that changes the world, they too have had those moments, but they didn't give up. They went on and they kept going. And so that's the challenge that I took from my conversation with her is, are you going to give up? Are you going to go on? And that's literally the daily struggle. And that's what we have to do every single day. You are not all of a sudden not an artist, or you are not horrible what you do just because you feel those things. And I want you to know that that's part of the journey. And I love what Sarah said as well, that for those times when you don't feel creative anymore, just pretend like you're a temp worker, right? You just show up to work. And for me, I'm a writer. So every day I need to be writing. And some days I'm not as creative as others. On the days that you're not creative, just show up anyway and pretend like you're just a temp worker. You're like, okay, I'm going to just get the work done that needs to get done and wait until the creative person shows up again. And I really love that, because I definitely have caught myself not writing when I don't feel inspired, but a writer needs to be disciplined, and she definitely brings that up, that whatever it is that you're doing, you have to be disciplined and you have to show up every single day. It's more about the practice, it's more about the art rather than the result. And that's a huge thing that I've been working on this year as well, is practicing and not clenching so tightly to results, because then that's the thing that will stop us from creating and stop us from actually realizing the potential that is set out for us. So I really loved that, and she gives some other great advice as well as an artist, and she says that women are artists of the everyday, that we have a unique divine calling and ability to make art out of everything, whether it's being a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a writer, whether you're creating content or anything else that's creative. It's in the everyday and in doing things with love and care and listening to our intuition. That's how we make art in the everyday. And that's the difference between people who actually get things done and finish and those who don't. That's another key thing, is actually finishing the work that you've set out to do. What I've gathered is that the difference between people who do something that they dream of and who just keep dreaming is that they finish. So finish the blog post, finish the painting, finish the book, finish the video, whatever it is. You cannot be a true artist or get your art out there unless it's finished, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And she also mentioned that that's a huge way that we sabotage ourselves as women, is everything we think has to be perfect. And she said not even God created the earth and said it was perfect. He said it was good enough, or it was good as is, and he let it exist. And so somehow we as women have taken it to be, oh, we have to be perfect, but everything else can be just okay. So I really loved that, because perfectionism is also something that I'm working on, and it was really comforting to hear her say those words, especially because she's accomplished so much and she's in the thick of it every day, and she has experience and she has success, and she also has that intuitive knowing. And that's another thing she said, was that the intuition is to her a knowing. So we have 5 physical senses, right? Hearing, taste, touch, feel, seeing, and she believes that we have 2 more, which is wonder and intuition, and that it's so important for us that first it's important to have a gratitude practice, and then after that to cultivate an inner knowing and to know our intuition. Because she mentioned how mothers have no problem using their intuition for their children. It's plugged in, it's ready to go. They do amazing, wonderful things for their children, but when it comes to their own work and their own need to know what their intuition wants, they don't know how to do it. So figuring out how to make that a centerpiece of your life and to guide your life from that intuitive knowing place is very important. It was really inspiring. And obviously, if you watch the interview or listen to it, put it down and do whatever you need to do. It's also very listenable. She's going to say these things a lot better than I am, but it was such an honor and so wonderful. If you at all want to know more about your intuition and how to feel centered and create that space in your life so that you can better take care of yourself and therefore take care of others and to do the calling that you're meant to do, then you need this book. It is a gem. I've been reading it every single year for the last almost 10 years. And it's a daily entry book, so every day has its own message and its own passage, and every month has its own theme. It starts with gratitude and then works its way onto different principles throughout the year, and it's amazing. You need to read it if you haven't yet. I hope you enjoyed my recap and the lessons that I learned from talking to Sarah Ban Breathnach, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you can get more interviews and more insights to mindfulness and intuition and all of those spiritual concepts that you may have questions on. And if you have any questions or videos that you want me to make sure to include those in the comments below. Thanks, guys.